Hi, everyone. Welcome to SoulCARE, February 7th, 2022. I think it's the 7th. You caught me in the middle of my juice drink. I'm doing a juicing. I'm doing juice cleanse for 3 days. Started this morning. This is beet, onion, celery, turmeric, ginger. It's really good. I drink this every day. But then I also have three other juices. I'm doing pressed juices. And there's a system, number one, and then two and three. And they have 3 days of it. So I'm doing that. I think it's always good to do that during the year, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Hi, hello. Let me come in and say hello to everybody here. Adriana, hi. Bonnie, hi. Friday, I don't know if you guys some of you were there Friday night for the demonstration, the mediumship evening. It was pretty amazing. Some of the messages, the spirit came through so clearly with details. The first message was about, I remember they showed me a headless doll. It's like, oh gosh, and this is what you gotta give out what you see, right? So, and someone tried taking it and said, well, I have pieces of my daughter's doll. I said, no, this is a headless doll. Sure enough, we found the right recipient who had her mother's doll. And the other day she tried putting the head back onto it. And that's how we made the contact. So it was quite interesting. And the rest of the evening was really, really great. And a lot of philosophical messages. I remember there was a spirit who said, we come with tokens of love. So that was really, really nice. That's really what it's about. They come in love. So hi, everybody. Miriam, Ellen, hello, Victoria, and thank you everybody for bringing new people into the space and to share with them about SoulCARE and also about what I'm doing with my school, because we've noticed some new people. So thank you. And I think I told you last week I'm starting TikTok. So I already did 3 of those, which is funny. I could do TikTok. I'm a pretty funny guy, right? And I had a nice beach walk yesterday. And I didn't realize that you really got to take care of yourself as far as when you walk. My legs were shafts, and after I left, I was like, oh, I didn't realize I had to take care of that. I could lose some weight. I'm just joking. I'm joking. Hi, Alison Roberts from Gloucestershire in the UK. Where is Gloucestershire? Christine, Columbia, Ohio. Hello there. Denmark. Hi, Sheila, Jennifer, Christine, Darlene, Marley, Patty, Terry. Hi. Hi from Belfast. Hi, Gillian. I've been wanting to get to Belfast. Haven't been there yet, but like to go. It's so interesting that we have you guys from all over the world. Isn't it great to create a community of people all over the world to come to one place with the same mindset? I'm not doing readings right now. I don't do readings on these calls. I do talks, and I don't do private readings. But what I do is I have on my website, vanprog.com. That's my website if you don't know about that. And on there, I have a list of all the people that I've worked with and I know of that I recommend as far as mediums. And they're great mediums, and they're from around the world. And there are also some students of mine who I put up there because they're very good. And that's where you want to go if you want a reading. That would be the best thing. These calls aren't not for that. This is really just different themes we do each week and talk about things that are going on. So I'm also going to include, coming up this year, I'm going to include, instead of the night of psychic readings, I want to do something else. There's going to be an evening of divine wisdom. It's going to be like me teaching. And that's going to be for a good hour and a half. And that'll be once a month. I'll be doing that. And it'll be different subjects and themes. And I'll answer questions there about spirituality, about life and death and in between. And that's a place that'll be fun. That'll be more concentrated for that. So that'll be coming up. And I'm working on the title of it now, but you'll get an email. If you're on my email list, which hopefully you are. If not, please register at vanprog.com, put your email in, and you'll make sure to get the emails that I'm doing, because that's the only way I can get to you guys. Okay. Happy Monday. I'm working right now on my course. I'm working right now is the JVP Spiritual Life Coach course, which is on sale right now, which is doing very well as far as I always look for the feedback from people, and people love it. And I was writing middle of writing a blog right now, and I wanted to talk about creating a spiritual business with integrity, because a lot of people will often say, you do spiritual work, you do it for free. And people don't have that understanding of, well, it's spiritual work. Why aren't you just giving it away to people? And I don't like that. Why don't I like that? Well, I wish I didn't have to have rent and the mortgage and bills and food and physical needs and have to pay for them. But I think it's number one, it's that human thing. You have to pay for things here. And number two, I also think it's a balance. It's a balance of energy, what you give out as far as energetically. So I think that works both ways. And a lot of people that I teach, and especially in this spiritual life coaching, one of the things I talk about, and I want to go with different points in the course if you're interested in taking that course, because it'll help in all different aspects of spiritual work, which I'm going to go through. But as I'm writing this blog, I thought, well, um, it's really interesting how people look at finances and money and all that sort of thing and spirituality. And I think it's really an exchange of energy. I think it's different if one abuses their talent, their ability, their gift. We're going to call it that. I don't think anything should be abused, no matter what. So I think an exchange of energy is the way it should be. I created the Spiritual Life Coach course because I remember I did massage for 7 years before I did mediumship. I was doing that for 7 years, along with other work as a paralegal and different other things, temporary jobs. But I remember it was in the massage work I was doing, and also kind of light counseling. And I wasn't a therapist, but I would find that I would tune into a person as I was working on them, and I could see where the energy was blocked in their bodies just by I could see clairvoyantly. And to me, it was all very natural. I didn't know this is clairvoyance. I could see when things were blocked. And then when I started touching that and opening up that space, I felt an emotional tie to that. I felt there was an emotional block. So I started speaking to the person about, there's a where it's coming from. I didn't go into reading them because that's inappropriate, but it really helped the person and helped myself in that I knew as far as it was a healing was taking place. I didn't say it was a healing, but I think any massage work, therapy work, singing, being with someone, you're healing them in some way. Just being in that space with someone, your energy can heal them. So I wanted to turn all that into this when I made this course up. It affects everybody in different ways. And a couple of things I have in there, which I wanted to talk to you about, because people talk about spiritual business. What do you need to make a business successful? And for me, it's I have the hat for the right brain, and that's the spirituality, that's the mediumship, that's the creativity, if you will. The left brain is the analytical. It's a critical mind, if you will. And in a business, you got to be a little bit of both, you see, in a spiritual business. And it's hard many times for someone on the right side, the spiritual side, to understand about the business part of ourselves. But that's why I wrote this course. Oh, there it is, the JP School of Life Coaching course, because I wanted people to know the basic principles and what you need to know to get your business going if you want to get something done in a spiritual quote, or I don't like to use that word, spiritual, expansive enhancement, a way of opening people up. Okay. And everyone that you work with, you have to realize that they open up in different ways because everybody's life experience is different, right? Everybody has a very, very different life experience, and they might not understand things the way you say it. You have to kind of speak their language. So in the course, I talk all about how to get into someone in a different way and speak that language. I wrote down some of the points of the course. Find out how to make an impact doing what you love. So making an impact, making an impression on someone's life, that you plant the seeds, and they can use those seeds. Really, in any business they do, but you're there to help them to plant the seeds. Also, I find that anything in life that you do where there's a passion behind it is successful. So any kind of work that you're involved in, whether it's writing, whether it's accounting, whether it's psychotherapy, whether it's healing, whether it's using Reiki work, whether it's doing psychic work, there's got to be a passion behind it. That makes success. Passion equals success. So I talk all about that, and there are videos I have in the course about that. And also owning your own power, getting into your own power and confidence, not looking outside yourself for someone else to approve of you, but make a difference. You're here and you're unique. So you need to make a difference in your work. And when you meet somebody, remember, it's a brand new experience every time you meet somebody. Brand new experience. So you have to open that up in a different way and start differently and see them differently and speak to them differently. But be really confident of your word, who you are. The more confident you are of who you are and own your power, they'll feel it too when you communicate with them, when you're with them. Um, Also, an important part in spiritual business, and a lot of people stay back from bringing their spiritual work to a higher level for whatever those reasons are, whatever trauma behind them, or their belief system behind them, or the filters they get into. But in the course, I also talk about how to bring your business to the next level to get it out there, whether it's through social media, whether it's through contacts, whether it's through emails. So I have a whole bunch of different ideas in the course about how you can bring your business to the next level. Um, I also, in the course, it's very interesting. I teach a bit about intuition. I teach a bit about tuning into the client, just like I did when I did massage, tuning into them so you know them better. So you'll be able to present things in a better way that they would understand, right? So, um, also, I wanted to find out how to physically connect with your own clients so you can deeply empower them. And what I mean by that is when you tune into somebody and you find out what their power is. The hardest part of my job when I do my work is tune into people and I can see all around them in their auric field their abilities, their gifts, their possibilities, and they don't see it for themselves. That's the hardest part. So my job is to help them to see it for themselves. And many times I'll have clients like, "Oh, I knew that. Oh, that sounds so right. Oh, how'd you know that? I know that about myself, but I never took the chance." So it's really helping them to jumping in, and that's really what it is. Even in no matter what field you're in, but it's jumping in and taking chances. You'll always stand up on your feet. What's the worst that could happen? And as I get older now in my 60s, I just say, "Oh, the hell with it. Just jump into whatever." Even in my 30s and 40s, when I was trying to sell a TV show, I'd be very careful with who I contact as a producer or someone. But now, what's the worst they can say is no. That's the worst. So there's a sense there I talk a lot about in the course about gaining that confidence and owning yourself and really looking at it from a different perspective of what am I giving to this person that they've never had before. I'm enlightening or enhancing their life because of what I'm saying, of ways, a perspective I'm giving them they've never had before. So these are things, of course, about it. Talk about a lot. Um, I also want to talk about my friend Kelly White, who a lot of you know from the show we do, Both Sides Now and Beyond, which will be on tonight. We'll have that on. And Kelly, when I met Kelly, she was a therapist. She was a very good psychotherapist, but I knew she was very mediumistic. And I said to Kelly, I said, "Kelly, you have to start doing mediumship." Oh, I don't want to do that because I want to, she wanted to do, I know you're watching Kelly. But she wanted to do her psychotherapy and she wanted to get a license and she felt she had to. And in honor of her mom, too, was an incredible psychotherapist. And I said, "Okay, but one day maybe you can blend the two together because you're a very gifted medium." And she did that. And God bless Kelly. She did that. She did both. And she blended in, which I think is more and more happening these days, the psychotherapy and mediumship. Because mediums are counselors, no doubt about it. Mediums are therapists, psychics are therapists, massage practitioners are, in a way, healers. So it really does. It's blending more and more. That line is really kind of being blurred a bit more now because it's all about therapy. It's all about talking, listening, communicating. And Kelly's one of the best mediums around now. And she also has a background of psychotherapy. So tonight, watch that show. And while I'm on it with Kelly White, my good friend who's watching, we are doing this weekend, a very important event. Oh, there you go. This is well, first, let me talk about this. Okay, tonight's show, right? So with Kelly White, tonight's show, Both Sides Now and Beyond. It's Geraldine Glass, musician, world renowned for healing crystal bowl ceremonies, and she will do a healing for us. So that'll be tonight. There'll be a healing night tonight, 6 o'clock, Both Sides Now and Beyond. And those who don't know this, Kelly informed me last week that Geraldine, she said, "Oh, I've met James before." And James did a reading for me 3 years ago through Compassionate Friends, a group of parents who lose children. And my son came through and said, "I'm going to get you on your path." And part of the reason he passed was to get her on her path, which happens quite often. It's very, very common for that to happen, that the soul group agrees before the incarnation that one of the people will pass and it'll force the other soul to question things, to wonder why. And it puts them on their path. And that's what happened in Geraldine's case. So Geraldine got into healing work. Her son told she was a healer, and she should use that ability of her. I think she's a beautiful voice she had. Anyway, Kelly spoke to her, and Kelly said, "You did a reading for her," and now she's known really all around for doing healing bowl healings. So she turned that that trauma, that tragic experience, into one that is now turned it totally around and is helping heal millions of people. So that'll be tonight's show. That'll be a very interesting night tonight. And then this weekend, I want to let you guys know that this weekend is a really great seminar, which you should definitely tune into. It's going to be about, a lot of people have talked about COVID for the past 2 and 3 years, right? The COVID effect. And they've asked myself, what do you think of COVID? Is it meant to be, as far as our soul's transformation for the planet? Uh, is it human error? What is going on spiritually with it? How do we integrate that in our lives? So this weekend, Saturday, this weekend, we're going to have the COVID effect. And it's Kelly White and Shirley Empizali, the therapist. And there it is right there. It's going to be about grief, dealing with grief, because a lot of people couldn't see their loved ones when they said goodbye to them because of COVID. They weren't allowed in. So we're going to talk about grief and how to deal with that grief and being isolated as well. Being isolated, and also feeling, because a lot of my clients, our clients, say, I didn't get to see them. Are they upset with me that I wasn't able to see them? Please help. So we'll talk about all of that, answer those questions, trauma. And it's February 12th. So go to kellywhite.com to register for that. So also my vanprog.com, my website. I'll be there. Also, I'll be doing meditation. So please come to that. There's, thank you, Renee, putting that up there. So a couple of things again for the JVP Spiritual Life Coach course. How to build a successful business, getting your first clients, how to get them, and not feeling guilty about it. Because some people, I can't have a business. You can have a business. That business makes it more authentic in a way. It brings it more to for people to have a respect for that business. Listen, when I first started mediumship 40 years ago, there weren't many mediums out there in the public eye doing what I do. I was one of the very first ones. George Anderson was from Long Island. He was doing it on a limited scale. And then I was really the very first medium on television to go out and do that on the NBC show called The Other Side. And then that's when I met John Edward in New York, and we did a demonstration together, and he was still working in a hospital. And it was through there that I remember then my book came out and did very well with the Talking to Heaven. And a producer called me up from Universal and said, "You want to do a TV show called, that's on the Sci-Fi Channel, the so-called Sci-Fi Channel." And I said, "No, I don't want to do that." I didn't. It was in New York, as I'm in California. But there's a wonderful medium in New York called John Edward. You should call him up. And I gave him John's number. Bonnie Hammer, name was. I gave her his number, and then that's how Crossing Over started. So that again opened everything up, opened up the whole expansiveness and the subject matter. So you never know where things will lead. But, I would say when you start a spiritual business, and I talk a lot about this in the course because that's what I'm made of, is integrity. You got to have integrity. You got to walk your talk. And if you can't walk your talk, you shouldn't do it. That's my feeling. That's my personal feeling. But it's important that you become a leader in your own right, your uniqueness. I say everybody is like a diamond, and each experience is like a facet cut in that diamond, and you shine the way you're meant to shine. So it's empowering yourself with that. So anyway, that's the life coach course, and I really hope that you'll look into that. And it feels right to take that to help yourself and then help others with it. Then you can. And anything you do, as far as if you take the course, all those insights you can share with others. You have permission to share that. Okay. That's it. I wrote down proactive. Be proactive. Help someone that you need to. Everybody who appears on your path is your teacher or your student every day. Remember that. And it's bringing yourself into that space of sharing and being what you want them to be, empowering that. So now I'll answer questions. Okay. Kathy Schnack. I do have a business. I create wood creations. Good for you. And more. It has always been my passion. Just that I turned into, hold on a second, sweetheart. I went fast. Oh, so many people here. I think I missed your. There you go. I do a business, and just I tuned in here. This moment is validation. Oh, good, Kathy. Yes, you keep it going. So your light, your energy is in those wood creations. Those creations are pretty amazing because they have your mark on it. They have your signature on it. It's very important in a spiritual business to have your signature on it. The people know it's yours. So, I went to the Tucson Gem Show last week, and it was great, but a lot of it was the same. And I'm like, what makes this different than this person next door to you? Let's make something different. So in the course, I talk about what makes you stand out from the others. You don't want to be cookie cutter. You do not want to be cookie cutter. You want to stand out. You want to be unique. Okay. Laura Essig. Hi, Laura. Sparkle and shine. You're all part of the great divine. My mantra. Laura, I love that. Good girl. Good for you, Laura. Jennifer Wood, how does meditation help you in your daily life? And do you think daily meditation can really help us find our one true life's purpose and path? Oh, thank you, Jennifer Wood. Well, for me personally, Jennifer, I can talk about myself. Meditation quiets the mind. So it takes a little bit of that phonetic energy and the craziness, and it kind of centers and grounds us. And in that centering and grounding, for me, I call it sitting in the silence, sitting in the stillness of your being. And when I'm in that stillness state, I'm able to have clarity in everything in my life, choices that I make, who I am, right? Who I am. And that is exactly what you're saying helps you to find your soul's purpose and your life because you're not in your head. It forces you in a way to get to your heart self, and that's where the soul is beautifully packed in there. Your soul comes from the heart. So when you do things from the heart, your soul self, it feels very differently than in your head. Okay, because we get in the head, the left brain, or analyzing things, details, rationalization. What are people going to think of me? The heart is where you want to get. So for me, meditation helps. And listen, Jennifer, you don't have to be formal meditation like sitting down and going om. You can water plants. You can do a flower arrangement. You can do writing. These are little forms of meditation. It's getting you out of the rut. So that's what it is. So try it, definitely. Mike and Linda Blatsky. Hi, James. I lost my job. I'm an empath. So you lost your job. Okay. So one thing, you lost your job. So with that to me is an opportunity. I look at that as an opportunity for something else to begin. So one door closes, another one opens, right? I'm finally starting my candle business. Very good. Very good. I'm so excited. Do you see this going well? Love and blessings, James, Linda. Linda, if you want it to go well, it will go well. But you've got to remember what do you put into the ingredients of making the wax? So you want to put great things into the thought process of this candle business as far as where do you see it going? Don't limit yourself. Be limitless. So if you're limitless, the candle will be limitless. And be creative. You know, God is creativity. And you got to celebrate your God. You are God. You're that uniqueness. There are no accidents. Do your dishes, Laura says. Doing your dishes. You're right. Doing dishes, cooking. It's all about being present during meditation. Very true, Laura. Lori Kimball, my 16-year-old has moderate anxiety and is anorexic. We're doing therapy. Very good. Therapy and meds, but can a medium help with healing her? No, Lori. I think you're doing the right thing. I think that if a therapist or a trauma therapist would really help. So much of that sounds, Lori, like a trauma. So traumahealing.com, I think it's trauma.org, I think is one that Kelly uses. You should definitely go to a trauma specialist. Ask the therapist for a trauma specialist. That will help. Don't need a medium for that. Okay. Marcy, okay, great. Lisa Shantura, how can I open to hearing my loved one I just lost? He was my soulmate. Lisa, you got to take the time to do that. Okay. Now, when I say time, and some other medium might tell you something different, but for me, what I tell, and you've heard me say this before if you've tuned in. If not, I say this, everyone will hear it again. I say sit in the silence, sit in the stillness of your being. How do you do that? Well, I sit in my closet. I have a walk-in closet, and I sit there, close the door, can't hear any outside noises, and I start concentrating on my breath because breath is natural. We breathe unconsciously, but I want you to become conscious of the breath. So the more you become conscious of the breath, again, it's just like Jennifer asked about meditation. What you're doing, you're concentrating on the inhale, the connection of the inhale throughout the body. Exhale, letting go of fear, bringing in love. Fear, love. And do it 15 minutes a day, 15, 20 minutes. Just sit with yourself, sit with your soul self, and begin to, and get out of the head, try to ask for your loved one. Don't do that, bad, because when you start doing that, the blocks go up in that space. It really limits the space. You just want to be open. The more open you are, the easier it is for them to come through. So let's say about three days, you sit in that space. Then you'll begin to feel and sense, feeling and sensing the energy in front of you, the sides, behind you. And you'll start sensing the subtle energy shifts. And at that point, when you get to that point, then you ask your loved one to come stand in front of you, behind you, and let them blend their thoughts with your thoughts. And that's how it works. It's not something you just jump right into. You want it to be very subtle when they come in. So that's the best advice I can give you, Lisa. Sit in the silence. Okay. Good. Patty Campbell. Hey, Patty. How are you, sweetie? Today is the second year anniversary of my brother's passing. Okay. Those on the other side remember the dates like we do? I'm thinking not. Not really, Patty. They only remember those dates because of us, because it's in our minds. So that's how they know it, because it's in our minds. They don't think about their birthdays. They call them birthdays when they go over there. We're the ones left behind down here at school. They've graduated. So for them, they're in a very happy, different, such a different space. They're also happy and happy they left the physical body. I've never had one spirit say, I really miss that body. I miss that disease. I miss that trauma. Never, not once. That's and you can't die. You can't die for the life of you. So no, there's no death, but that's more human. He's happy. Laura Flores, meditation. I go to my breath and connect deeply to my healing light. Great. Filling me with peace and a kind of weightless expansion. Great, Laura. Activating my intuition, deep healing. Fantastic, Laura. So as you're doing that, just expand out in your mind. Imagine as limitless as you are. So there's a far, far star, far, far away, and try to bring your energy as far, far as you can to that star that's far away. Another technique of just expanding more and more and more. As you sit in the closet, you can do that too. So it works. But the one about sitting in the closet is also very passive meditation or mind journey, if you want to call it a meditation. I call it just sitting in the quiet of your being. It's great. Okay. Sarah. Hi, Sarah. How do you feel about past life regression? Oh, I love past life regression. I do past life regression. I worked many years with Dr. Brian Weiss, who is kind of the godfather of past life regression. Done many trips with him, 27 cruises we did together, and we do workshops on past life regression. I think that if there's currently in your life right now, perhaps some anxiety or a phobia or a situation with people in your life that's not going well, I think past life regression is very beneficial to go back and find out what happened in a past experience that caused this situation, that caused a phobia, that caused something to happen in this lifetime, something you're making up for stuff in the past. So I just spoke to somebody about this. This is an interesting one. Talk about past life regression. I'm very much into the whole past life. Now remember, past, present, and future can be all one. In quantum physics, there is no such thing as time in the real world, if you will. Time is only relative to this three-dimensional world. But once you step out of this three-dimensional world, there is no time. So in the spirit world, there is no time like we have here. So the past, present, and future are all one. And right now, as we're here, sitting here, watching this on the computer, or wherever, on our phones, wherever, there's part of our souls that are in the past, living out the 1700s, 1400s, in the future, 2300. So there's all of that going on. Now, I'm going to throw a mind twister at you. Some of you might know this, maybe not. When I was working with Dr. Brian Weiss, past life regressionist, I remember we were on a trip somewhere. I think it was Tahiti, actually, a cruise. They did lovely workshops. And it was after dinner time, and it was his workshop that night. And he said to the audience members, and I was sitting in the back of the room, he said, all you have to do is ask, I'm going to bring you under. I'm just sort of breathing. That's all it was, breathing exercises. And you can ask anything you want to ask and see what happens. So I did. I thought to myself, oh, this is not going to work for me. Yeah, it's not going to happen. But that was the human. And I asked, as he's putting us all under with the breath, just putting us this nice, lovely space, why am I a medium? Why did I choose to become a medium? Why would I choose to go out on television, be a public figure when I'm really pretty shy? You would not know that, but I am, being a Virgo. And why would I go, the millions and millions of people, why would I put myself out there on the line when no one else was doing it? And I really had this integrity about it. And then I saw very, very clearly, it was wild, that I was a general. I saw my eyes and my mustache, and that's what I saw. And I saw the uniform change. I was always a general in all these wars, Spanish-American War, this Prussian War, all these different wars, thousands of wars. It seemed like thousands of wars, hundreds of wars. And I was always a general. And I was always in charge of telling my men when to go in and kill people. I came back in this lifetime to heal millions about death. So there's the karma. Isn't that amazing? So the other weird thing is, which I love weird and strange and synchronistic experiences, was I've always had an obsession with World War II. Always. I know that I was alive during Germany. Anything to do with Nazi Germany, I'm all over it. I'm aware of it. I had a roommate who was the same way. I have a friend who's my accountant. I found he was the same way. Several people are very much obsessed with that time period. Now, this is an interesting one. So I know that I was definitely alive in that time. And of course, having that past life regression about the general, I'm wondering, oh my gosh, did I kill people? Did I kill people? And that's part of the reason we don't, know about our past lives is because when we come down on this earth, if we knew about all the bad things we did in the past, we'd be so obsessed about fixing those that we wouldn't live in this lifetime to do the work we have to do in this current life. So I'm dealing with that whole thing about, well, I can relate so much to not necessarily Nazi Germany being a Nazi or not, but that time period. Here we go. Hope you're with me. I had a dream once, and the dream was it was in that twilight state. You're just about to wake up, and you're kind of in that twilight state. And I remember so clearly, like I'm right here, that I was in 1938, I think, Germany. I was across the street from a gentleman across the street. I could see the suit he was wearing, a fedora hat, vest, and I also was like that. And he was a friend of mine. He was just a friend. And I remember the cobblestone streets. And I remember him. I'm saying to him, "I have to go now. My time to go now." And he said, "Okay, we'll see you soon." And he goes, "Hi, Hitler." And I went, "Hi." Oh, I can't say that anymore. And I woke up. Isn't that weird? So I know that my family, the von Prachs, came from von Prach, they pronounce it, came from Czechoslovakia, Eastern, like a lot of people, Eastern Europe, and I knew that there were Jews there. There was big Jewish family background. I have the ancestry. A member of my family went all the way back to like the 1400s. And we had some Dutch Jews in Holland, and they were in a diamond business, and a lot of them. So there were over 50 von Prachs who died in Auschwitz. And I actually went to Holland, Amsterdam, to the museum there, the Holocaust Museum, and they're there listed. And of course, I'm thinking, was I the one responsible for their death? Okay, one step further. Last night I was watching television, and as I'm watching television, I'm always aware of what's going on. And I, for some reason, again, drawn to these anything World War II. I find it fascinating. To my mind is like, how can they have like 30 guards and none of these people went against them? And it's just such a mind twist. Like, wow, that these people could be so inhumane to other people. And they were talking. There's a great series on Netflix called "Steal a Pencil for Me," and it's about a couple that were in love, and I think it was in Auschwitz, and they survived, and they're together now, and it's a love story. It's incredible. So they were going over the list. They're showing different things about World War II, and one of the things they showed the different lists of the people that were died at Auschwitz, and there, look what I saw. My relatives, von Frach, and there was no H. They just, and that's, yeah. So isn't that a trip? So I'm always aware when I'm watching television or with people or out I'm always aware of things around me, which is part of that awareness part that I put into my soul course, my soul course, because it's that awareness that you have to have in doing all those. But I thought that was a weird thing, and it's how we roll. Okay. So that's my past life. Isn't that wild? Wow, chills. Yeah, it's funny. Okay, Itka. Hello from Northern Ireland. Hello, Itka. Just watched Talking to Heaven on Prime. It was excellent. Thank you. I just put the book. Thank you very much. Talking to Heaven was a movie based on my book, Talking to Heaven, and it was a movie done by CBS television network here in America with Ted Danson playing James M. Prague. And I have a quick Ted Danson story if you have a couple of minutes. My Ted Danson story, I mentioned this maybe before, but it's pretty cool. Thanks for it. This is something you don't know about, but I did a reading. What happened was this is where the story goes. The writer of the movie was on a plane going from New York to LA, and there was an empty seat next to him. And the actress Mary Steenburgen sat down, and she said to me years later, she goes, I never speak to people on planes because I don't like to get involved in it. But she goes, my father was behind me. I could feel my father behind me. And he said, you have to talk to this man. So she talked to the man next to her who was writing a script on the plane. He's writing. And she said, "Hi, what are you writing?" And he said, "Wow, it's so weird you're sitting next to me because I'm writing this movie based on this book, Talking to Heaven. And I thought about you as one of the characters." And Mary said, "Oh, that's really weird. I've given that book out to everyone I know. I love that book." Okay. So she said, "Can I meet James Van Prague?" Now, again, this is years ago, right? Back in the 90s or early 2000s. So we arranged, and I arranged to go up to their place in Brentwood, California, and do an evening of a little sitting for her and like 7 or 8 people in our group there. Um, and I did that, and Ted Danson was there, and he was very skeptical, Capricorn man, skeptical man, tall, but everyone's tall to me. And I remember it was a bunch of people. I didn't know these people; they were very well known. Only it was Mary and Ted, and not well. So anyway, what happened was I got to Ted, and his father came through, and I said, "There's a man here. I believe he's your father, and he's wearing a herringbone jacket, and he has a glass of whiskey in his hand, and he goes in front of the fireplace, and he drinks that." And he said, "You know, it's I'm in heaven if I'm wearing my herringbone jacket and I have my whiskey." And Ted, who had never been to anything like this, looked at me and went white as a sheet, and he was sitting on an ottoman. He fell off the ottoman on the floor. I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I do to Ted Danson? Oh my God. Well, after the evening was over, we sat and we had dinner and a glass of wine. And he said, "James, you don't understand what that you just did." I said, "Why?" Ted, I hope it was okay because my father used to come home every night from work when I was a kid. He used to put on his herringbone jacket he got from his father, sit in front of the fireplace, and have a glass of whiskey. So that was like, so that was that. This is how the intelligence of the spirit world is so incredible. You wonder, you have to be in awe about how they put things together because this is all, every time we have coincidences, it's always like, wow, how is this all put together? The tapestry of it. So the next day, I think it was a Tuesday, I get a call about 9:30 in the morning from the production company of that movie, Talking to Heaven movie. And they said, the producer guy said, "James, I have some bad news." And I said, "What is it, Stanley?" And he goes, "Well, Les Moonves and CBS tried getting people for the role for you, to play you, James Prague, with a medium. Gary Sinise turned it down. A couple of other people turned it down." And he said, "There's really no one that wants to play a medium." This is back early in 2000. And I said, "Wow." And he says, "So Les Moonves wants to go to one more person. He has an actor in a show called Becker, and he's going to ask Ted Danson, who plays Becker." And I said, "Ted Danson? I, I was just at his house last night." What do you mean, Ted? How weird is that? Right? So he said, "Well, can you call Ted?" And I said, "No, I cannot call Ted. That's crossing the line. I don't cross the line. That's integrity. I don't cross that. That was a different experience." So eventually, what happened was Les Moonves asked Ted. Ted said he wasn't sure about it, but he had the experience with me. So he thought about it, and a week later, we got together and he took the role because of the experience we had. So if that was not spirit intervening there and creating that to happen, I don't know what was. And because of that movie, Talking to Heaven, we filmed it in Vancouver, became good friends, Ted and Mary and myself. And I used to go up and watch them shoot. And I remember watching, getting to the set, someone's house, and there were all these production trucks all over. And the side of the production trucks, this is how weird my life is, just great, was the word Driscoll, Driscoll Trucks. Driscoll was my grandmother's maiden name. So, they're, involved, right? It's how we see this, the intelligence, and our loved ones are always involved in they really do. We're really the marionettes. They're the masters of we're just the puppets. They're the marionette masters, pulling strings left and right. So at Driscoll, I'm like, wow, that's great. And the first thought was, wow, I love that all these people have work. This is so great. Went into the set, and the set was little James's bedroom when he was 7. That I hadn't told any of these producers, scenic designers, anything. And I went there and I'm like freaking out because I looked, and there on the side of the bed is a picture of um, the Virgin Mary. No, Little Flower. That's a saint, Little Flower, Saint Teresa, in the Catholic Church, my mother's favorite saint. I thought that's wild, and maybe mentioned in my book. I don't know. But then I looked at the wallpaper in the set of my bedroom. It was the exact wallpaper I had in my bedroom when I was 7 years old. What are the odds of that? What are the odds of that? So that was pretty trippy, and then more stuff happened after that. Queen Latifah was in that movie. She was fabulous. She really was great. She was great. Another one more thing, then I'll leave you. Diane Lane was in it. She played my mother, and I called Diane on the phone and talked a couple of times. And I said, I saw the dailies of the show and of the movie. I said, how did you know my mother had a stroke? Because I didn't write about that in my book. My mother had a stroke and she could barely walk and she was in the hospital. And she said, and am I on the right side? I said, so you put that in? And she said, oh, yes, James, your mother came and told me that. So well, there you go. So that was pretty good, really pretty good. So it was a magical play, and because of that show, it did really well. That movie, it was for CBS, and it's all over the world now. You can get it like you in Ireland, just got it. Talking to the Heaven. It was called Living with the Dead originally. And what happened was it was the number one miniseries for CBS in the history of CBS television, only surpassed by Jesus of Nazareth. Funny. And it's because of that show did so well that Nina Tesler, who ran the CBS production there, programming, she said, "Can you come up with a TV show?" So first of all, we did another movie, and the other movie was, and I was just writing about it, Living with the Dead, starring Eva Longoria. Eva Longoria, quick story. So we did Talking to Heaven did really well. They won another movie of the week, so I did Living with the Dead. I mean, sorry, the Dead Hotel, starring Eva Longoria. Before it was Eva Longoria. And it was Anne Heche, starring Anne Heche, and Eva Longoria was a side actress. And I remember, and this was way before Eva was Eva. Eva came up to me during a break in the taping. It was in New Orleans, and she said, "Mr. Van Prague," I said, "Call me James." She said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Okay." She said, "I just finished a pilot. I'm wondering if it's going to do anything." And I tuned into it. I said, "Oh, it's going to change your life, Eva. It'll change your life. You watch and see." That's when Desperate Housewives came out after that. And it wasn't until, oh my God, I was filming Ghost Whisperer at Universal Studios, and the set that I was on, the studio or the stage, was right next door to the stage of Desperate Housewives. So I was at the Universal Cafe having lunch by myself, and there's Eva Longoria coming off the line, walking there. And as she's walking toward the seats, I look up, and our eyes connected, and she dropped the tray. She went, "What?" And I went, "What?" And I ran up to her, and this is like 3, 4 years later now. And I said, "Was I right? Did it change your life?" So that's the Eva Longoria story. Yeah, so it's pretty wild how things, you never know how things work, but you got to hold on to your integrity, sense of self, and helping one another. And that's what I put into this course. That's it. So thank you, everybody, very much. I hope you'll join me tonight with Kelly White and for the healing with Geraldine Glass. It will be great. And I think you'll enjoy it. And again, thank you very, very much. And have a great day and great rest of your week. And I'm going to go do my juicing. Okay. Bye bye now.